Got a gripe or two? I know I do, and I'm sure you do too. Companies always say their top priority is customer service, but all too often they fall short of the goal. What bugs you as a consumer? Is it the fine print in advertisements? Fake discounts? Maybe problems making returns or repair people who can't fix the problem? I'm Herb Weisbaum, the Consumer Man, a contributing editor at checkbook.org.
Welcome to Consumerpedia at checkbook.org. We're the nonprofit that helps consumers select services, avoid trouble, and save money. Because we don't accept any advertising or take money from any business we recommend, you can rely on checkbook.org to be completely independent and objective. Now, here's the host of Consumerpedia, America's consumer expert, the Consumer Man, Herb Weisbaum.
Something a little different in this episode of Consumerpedia. We're going to let a few members of the Checkbook team and several of our subscribers vent. That's why we call it Got a Gripe. We're going to start with my friend and Checkbook contributing editor, Jamie Lettuce, who joins us from Checkbook headquarters in Washington, D.C.
Hey, Herb.
So I understand you have a gripe you would like to share with us.
I do. My gripe involves getting overcharged at the grocery store and at other retailers, either because an item is scanned more than once. You're sometimes charged for an organic produce item when you bought a regular one, or because the sale price or digital offer or other kind of offer is not properly applied to your bill. And if you don't meticulously check that receipt, you get overcharged.
And this can add up to some serious money if they do this on a regular basis.
It certainly can. There are times where I purchase certain items because they're on a really good sale, or it's a buy two, get one free, or a BOGO. And, depending on what the item is, you could buy, a package of filet mignon and, it goes on your bill twice. And there you go. You got another $40 on your check that you shouldn't have. And it's just not right.
And if you complain, they always blame the computer. It's not the computer. It's either the sign in the store or the people who program the computer, one or the other. It's the store's responsibility.
It is the store's responsibility, and, it happens a lot. And I think most people, my husband makes fun of me because I take the time to, very carefully check everything, but most shoppers don't do that. And if you think about all the extra money these stores are making by really overcharging people, it's enough to make you mad. It makes me mad.
And Jamie, following up on that, I always check the bill at a restaurant before I hand the credit card, because I've had situations where there were 4 people eating and there were 5 entrees on the bill. It was an honest mistake, I assume, but that would have been the difference of $25. You need to check those things as well.
You definitely do. In fact, I had an experience about 6 months ago where we were brought the check for another table. And as it turned out, that other table had already paid our significantly lower bill and left.
Oh.
And I think the server was kind of panicking a bit because she thought she was going to be on the hook for the difference. And the manager came over and they ended up working it out. But yeah, that worked out well for the other table because they got a bill that was I think $50 less expensive than what they should have paid. So you always have to check.
Yep, check those bills. It'll save you a lot of grief and maybe a lot of money. So here's mine. The people who deliver packages never knock on the door or ring the bell. So unless the dog happens to be awake and barks, I have no idea there's a package on the front stoop waiting for the porch pirates to steal. They're literally an arm's reach away from the door or the doorbell, and they won't ring it. And it just absolutely annoys me. I contacted the major delivery services to see what they had to say about this. UPS says, we train our delivery drivers to knock on the door or ring the doorbell or announce themselves so the customer can be aware that the package has been delivered. Not my delivery people. They never do that ever. FedEx, they sent me just links. All they sent me were links to several pages that talked about notifications and picture proof of delivery. If I'm not in front of my computer, if I'm not on my smartphone, I don't get the delivery notice and I don't live on my devices 24/7. And the picture only proves they delivered it when I go out there and it's stolen, that they delivered it. It protects them. It doesn't protect me. And Amazon, being Amazon, didn't respond to our request for information about their delivery policy. That just really bothers me. With all the stories and news about porch pirates, they can't try to help the problem a little bit by knocking on the door.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, that's especially if you're sitting home and sometimes it's pouring rain, right? And if you had a package sitting out there, you could bring it in.
If I'm in the back of the house, I don't hear them at the front door if I'm watching TV or cleaning the dishes or something. I mean, what little effort it would take, it couldn't slow them down that much with all the hassles they have to deal with a package being stolen. That's my gripe. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of other people have the same gripe as well.
Well, I think also part of it is, we've all seen the videos where the delivery people throw the package. So if they have to knock on your door, that means they can't do that anymore because they have to walk all the way up there.
Really good point. Jamie, thanks for starting us off on this segment of Gotta Gripe.
Always a pleasure, and there are plenty more where that came from, Herb, just saying.
We'll be back.
All right.
All right, we're headed to Virginia right now. We have Bob on the line. And Bob, you have a great gripe, which is those recorded messages we get every single time we call a business anymore these days.
I do. The announcement usually sounds something like, "This call may be monitored or recorded for training or quality control purposes." We consumers get this warning at the beginning of many calls to large corporations, but they uniformly refuse to provide the consumer with a transcript or a copy of the recording they make of our calls. This is unfair and asymmetric. Whenever these companies record calls with consumers, they should allow the recorded consumer to get a free copy of the recording. They may have good reasons to record the call, but we also have good reasons to be able to document their statements and their sometimes dismissive answers to our concerns.
Well, being a lawyer, you realize that these things are done because the legal departments at the companies tell them to do this, so that for some reason we challenge something, they can say, but we have it on tape or whatever. It's to protect them, even though they may say this call is being monitored or recorded to protect you. It's to protect them, not to protect us.
But I was a lawyer for a consumer protective organization, and what we told people is, we're making a recording of this, and just as if we signed a statement together, you're entitled to a copy of your own statements and ours. Whenever I'm confronted with this announcement by their robotic telephone defense system, when I finally get through to a human, I ask the telephone rep, how can I get my copy of the recording? They usually respond, gee, I don't know, let me ask my supervisor. The supervisor always sends back the message, no, it's only available by subpoena or court order. Sometimes they say it's confidential, which is ridiculous, as it cannot be confidential and denied to the very people who are recorded in the conversation.
Have you ever tried to request a recording for some reason?
Not to request, but to demand. We were confronted with a home buyer warranty company after we bought a home, and the air conditioning system failed in the first month. So we called on them to make good on the warranty, and they clearly didn't intend to and screwed it up, and I made many, many phone calls. At any rate, it took a long time. They never fixed it. I had to go out to another company, and we had to sue them. Well, when you sue, of course, in a civil case, you can get discovery of your opponent. Your lawyer can demand their lawyer fork over the recordings or the documents or the pictures or whatever it is. And in this case, because I had carefully noted what day and what time I talked to their representative, we could identify a particular call, which went on, I think, for 50-some minutes, in which there was a particularly dismissive answer and also a admission that they hadn't even read my multi-page submission about it, and then the guy, of course, made the lowball offer. After we got that discovery, the day before trial, they settled for an amount that covered the air conditioning system as well as our lawyer fees. And I think it was that recording that their lawyer must have eventually listened to that helped to motivate them to settle. So I think that demonstrates that it's really useful for the consumer to be able to get a copy of the recording.
So if you're doing something, obviously you're not going to do this for everything, but if you're doing something that's like you were doing to try to get some restitution or help or whatever, just make a note of the day and time you called, because you may need that if this ever comes to court.
Yes, always when you're dealing with one of these companies, note the time, you be polite, and you get the name of the person you talk to and the number you're calling from to document. And it seems to me useful to also say, well, I heard the announcement that this is being recorded, so you don't mind it being recorded. That sort of enables them to recognize, oh my gosh, these people are taking notes. Maybe I better be fair with them. That may be a optimistic hope, but I keep trying.
Well, as you know, this call was recorded and you did a great job. That's really great advice. Thank you for sharing with us.
Can I have a copy?
Yeah, you can hear it on the Consumerpedia podcast.
Okay, let me know when that's going to be. I will listen in, but I hope, as an example of a good faith outfit, you will send me an audio copy or show me a link that I can play it back.
Yes, I will. You're a wise guy. You know that, Bob?
No, I'm retired and I'm a determined consumer.
Well, thank you for your time and thank you for being a subscriber to Checkbook. We really appreciate it.
Well, you've helped me out, and so I'm happy and, like any consumer, always gratified that somebody listens to my complaints.
Coming up, gripes about shrinking packages and companies that won't stand behind their work when something goes wrong. I'm Herb Weisbaum, and this is Consumerpedia, powered by Checkbook.org.
If you like what you hear, we hope you'll consider being a Consumerpedia supporter by using the link at the bottom of the show notes to make a small contribution each month. This is Consumerpedia.
Up next, we have Carol from South Carolina. Carol, thanks for being with us. What's your gripe?
My gripe is shrinking package sizes. Buying something, and I used to be able to buy it in a 28-ounce jar, and then it shrinks down to a 25, and then a 22, and so forth, paying the same price.
Have you noticed this with a lot of different products?
I have, yes, whether it's orange juice or marinara, even cereal boxes. I mean, just a lot of different products are doing this.
So what's the biggest concern? What bothers you about this?
Well, there's a couple of main things. One is when you buy something for a recipe, you've had this long time recipe for your favorite lasagna and you need a jar of marinara and it says use a 28 ounce and you can no longer find a 28 ounce. So now you either buy two and you have excess, or you just don't have enough and you have to try to shrink the entire recipe. The other thing is the packaging that's going into our landfills. Some of it is recyclable, but still there's a tremendous amount that's going in there that doesn't need to if they just wouldn't be shrinking those packages.
And by the way, there's nothing worse than lasagna without enough marinara sauce on it. Let me tell you, that can be a serious problem. We just happen to have one of the experts on the planet Earth about shrinkflation. He's been covering it for years on his mouseprint.org website, Edgar Dworsky. And Edgar, you hear from people like this all the time. Say hi to Carol.
Hi, Carol. And let me tell you, I absolutely agree with you, not just with respect to recipes, not working the way they used to, but the whole practice is just a sneaky way to pass on a price increase to consumers in a very inconspicuous manner.
It really is.
So they say they're doing it, Carol, because if they up the price that you wouldn't buy the product anymore, they wouldn't be competitive, so they have to play with you and not give you as much in the package. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that's just plain silly because now I have to buy two of them. So I'm spending even more than I need to. I would much rather just see the price go up.
Well, it's interesting when consumers have been polled about downsizing of products. Many do say they would prefer to see the price increase. And they also say that if they learn a particular product manufacturer is doing this, they may not buy the product ever again. So they really do take it out on the manufacturer. Nonetheless, we're seeing dozens and dozens of items every year shrinking. Carol mentioned orange juice. Orange juice has a history. Used to get a half gallon of orange juice, 64 ounces. Then it went down to 59 ounces. And then they put it in a carafe bottle, and the carafe bottles are now 52 ounces. So you've easily lost 2 glasses, but the price has stayed relatively stable. Manufacturers know that if consumers see a price increase, they may notice it, number one, switch to another brand or not buy the item. But they know that most consumers are not net weight conscious. They don't pay attention to the size of the package, and they may be able to pull the wool over the consumer's eyes.
Carol, I've got a final question for you. Have you ever been tricked by shrinkflation and then decided you're so upset by what the company's doing, you've switched brands?
Yes, actually I have. With orange juice, as a matter of fact, I can still get a 64-ounce orange juice that is just as good as the shrinking package product and paying a decent price, and I switched to that one.
Herb, that's actually one of the little secrets about orange juice. Store brands of orange juice in some places around the country are still 64 ounces. This is one of the few examples where the store brand does not follow the manufacturer's lead.
Well, Carol, I don't think we're going to see this change, so you got to be a smart consumer and make sure you check how much you're getting in the package, right?
Absolutely. I read on the shelf tag what the price per ounce is and how many ounces are in there, and I base my decision on that.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing your gripe with us. Edgar, as always, I know you'll be tracking this on mouseprint.org.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
And let's head out now to Massachusetts, where we have Mike on the line. And Mike, your gripe has to do with lifetime guarantees, lifetime warranties. Tell us about that.
Okay. Oh, sure. I've really gone for two products with lifetime warranties. Just interest of low maintenance. I'm a homeowner. One of which was Rhino Shield. Okay, this is a company that's been advertising nationally, and lifetime paint, lifetime guarantee, never paint again. Very appealing. Painting my house every 5-6 years is a pain in the neck, right? So I said, okay, how much does this cost? Okay, the answer is 2 or 3 times as much, pretty much 3 times as much as a normal 5-year kind of paint job. I get 5-6 years out of a paint job. So I figure, okay, if it lasts 15 years, worst case scenario, they go out of business, it's break even, right? Get 15, 16, 17 years out of it, I'm good. But with a lifetime warranty, that's appealing. So I go for it, get the paint, satisfied, looks good, service good, all fine. Failures start in about 7 years, a little bit, nothing terrible. Didn't complain. 8 years, 9 years, starting to look terrible. By 10 years, it was falling off the house on the front of the house that faces the sun. Okay, this is the most visible part of the house, where the sun hits the front of the house. So really obvious failures. So initially, reach out, play tag for about a month. Eventually, they say, well, we really need full documentation and pictures. Okay, fine. I take full documentation and pictures. Send it to them. They're quick to acknowledge that, oh, well, yeah, there's some warranty work here. So, but they found a spot there where arguably there was not warranty work. A little bit of rot and some wood in a spot that technically is not warranty. I did not argue the point. A little more conversation, hire a carpenter. Carpenter comes out, fixes the couple of spots that are arguably not constructed just right. Fine. I say, I will pay the increment there. I don't care. For that, that's on me, not on them. That's not the guarantee. But I do need service. The paint's falling off the front of the house. A lot of this is clearly warranty work. They acknowledge that early. There's warranty work here. It takes a little while, a couple months to get the contractors and get the house all ready for paint. But then it took a full year of getting scheduled. So it's playing phone tag and, well, the guys are busy. Well, how about in September? Well, gee, the weather's not right. How about October? Well, we're shutting down until next spring. Spring comes, turns into May. I'm reaching out, getting the runaround for a full year, essentially, after the house looks like hell at this point. So then, the only recourse I had, I'm dealing with, I think, respectable people as individuals here. Not screaming at anybody, but felt the need to go to the Better Business Bureau, post these pictures. They're horrific. They're obviously embarrassing pictures. If you're advertising a lifetime paint product and you look at the pictures that I took of my house, it's just plainly embarrassing. So unfortunately, I had to go to that extreme to actually get the service, to get somebody to come out. And along with that, was a negotiation of about $2,500 of a cost to me for that increment of the non-warranty work, which seemed excessive. But, again, I was just happy to get the house fixed. So that wasn't my primary concern. But I think the message there was that, here's a company that, has a good product. I think it's a good paint product. It does last a lot longer than regular paint. It lasts really well on the shady sides of the house. So we were 15 years into it or so, and much of the house still looks perfect. But they obviously did not budget for, the service level for houses every, 7, 10, 15 years are going to need some maintenance. And, some of it warranty, some of it not. This was just not part of how they staffed or budgeted. So it took a tremendous amount of pressure to get anything done. And the second problem is you're kind of stuck. It's their product. It's their treatment. You can't just paint it yourself over it without completely voiding any other residual warranty. So I was very close to just calling a paint company and aborting mission entirely. I was that frustrated. Eventually, when they did send a crew of 2 people, they were good. They did a great job. And I was happy with that. I wrote the check, and the house looks fine in the end. But it really took a lot more angst, a lot more pressure, a lot more time back and forth with the Better Business Bureau, just getting that basic warranty service. And in that course of that year and a half, no one ever came to the house. I mean, they were a local company. No one would even come to the house to take a look or discuss.
And we hear about this at Checkbook all the time. The lifetime warranty, first of all, is a lifetime of the company, not your lifetime. And if this company had gone out of business, you would have been totally screwed. And that happens all the time with these kind of services. Also, as you found out, you're reliant upon the local franchisee, even though it's with a big company. It can be pulling teeth. I have this gutter system on our house, and it's one of those we guarantee it'll never clog up, and if it does, we'll come out and clean it. And the local franchisees went out of business until somebody opened up, and then finally, well, we're backlogged. And so it sounds really great on the front end, but boy, it's really a pain on the back end. And you do have to make noise in many cases. I'm glad you didn't pay the money to do it when they owed this to you, but it does. It takes a lot of, we all have busy lives, and to try to track down a company to come back and live up to their promise it's just nonsense, quite frankly.
Right. And the kind of people who sign up for this are people who are really busy people who are looking for low maintenance, who don't have the time to be chasing, these, serve for service. Second thing which relates significantly is a polyasparta floor coating in the garage. Also, lifetime guarantee, looks beautiful. I had experience with epoxy myself. It wears out in a year, 2 years, 3 years, looks terrible. Did that a few times. I was sick of that, so I bought into that as well. Now, this has no conclusion to it yet, but my problem was the company who put it down is out of business. I still have to find the paperwork 15 years later for the manufacturer for whom the warranty was tied, not just the fly-by-night sort of small group of guys that had the original guarantee. There is some liability on the part of the manufacturer, but still I have to, I'll have to chase that down. The only word there is if you get a lifetime warranty, save your paperwork, put it in a place where it's thoroughly documented. Expect the guys that are doing the work may not be in business by the time you need to exercise that, warranty privilege, and be ready to go after the manufacturer and see what you can get at that time.
Amen.
And in both cases, the fail-safe was, if this lasts for 15 years, and really in both cases, if the garage floor lasts for 15 years and looks great before it looks terrible, in worst case, I've got my money's worth. It was worth, I'll pay it again if I have to for the price. And even with the Rhino Shield, it would have been the same thing. If it hit the 15-year point, technically that would have at least meant I broke even and didn't take a complete bath on it. But again, it failed well before then, and thankfully it, in the end, did get repaired. So it's just nothing's for free. These lifetime warranties take some real effort when things do eventually fail.
But it's a very key point you made, and I want everybody to take heart to this. I have a file set up where it says warranties, and I have the warranty for the gutter system. I have the warranty for the roof, which is 40 years. Paperwork can disappear at a long time. And then I have the warranties for the big, expensive appliances, because if you go to file a claim, they're going to ask you, when did you buy it? Where did you buy it? You're going to need all that stuff that you may not have. Just keep a little file folder somewhere where you keep all that information handy should you ever need it, and sooner or later you probably are going to need it.
Yes, and one of my problems, I had this electronically on a computer that had failed. It was caught with viruses and so forth, and so resurrecting the paper trail. It was, especially in the garage floor case. That's why I'm not 100% on the paperwork yet. I'm still hunting to follow through on that one. But yeah, paper makes a lot of sense. You're talking 40-year guarantee, lifetime guarantee. Having something printed out in a file cabinet is probably a little more fail-safe than something on a computer.
Mike, thank you so much for sharing your gripe with us, and thank you for being a subscriber to Checkbook. We really appreciate it.
Anytime. I really enjoy it. So I appreciate all the great work you guys do.
We're not done yet. Straight ahead, even more gripes. I'm Herb Weisbaum, and you're listening to Consumerpedia, powered by Checkbook.org.
Hi, this is Tracy, the Consumerpedia announcer. We're not going to have any fast facts in this episode. It's my chance to gripe. So here's mine. Every once in a while, you actually have to call a store to see if they have something, so you're not wasting your time. And it seems all too often, if you do get through, they'll send you to the wrong place. You get stuck in the prompting abyss. Or, and this just burns me, they never answer the phone. It just rings and rings and rings. And this happened to me twice last week. Now that makes me feel better. Thanks for listening. Now let's get back to her.
Thanks, Tracy. One more gripe before we go. We have another member of the Checkbook team on the line. Danny Dredger is Senior Manager of Digital Marketing and Fundraising, so you'd make her really happy if you become a monthly subscriber.
Hey Herb, how's it going?
Good. Please share your gripe with everyone.
Sure. So this is something that I didn't really think about until I traveled to other countries and realized that I did not have to hand over my credit card to servers and watch them disappear at the back of the restaurant to charge me for my meal. They would just do it right tableside, and I never lost sight of my credit card. And it got me thinking, could people really just take a picture of my credit card when they disappear to the back and then use it for whatever the heck they want? And this actually happened recently on a trip with my sister. We were in a city neither of us had ever been to, and the the server was taking a very long time, and I kind of jokingly said to her, I wonder if they're taking a picture of our card or they're recording the number on a piece of paper. And so, we got our card back and didn't really think much of it. And then the next evening, she got a text message from her bank saying there had been a fraudulent charge on her credit card for a place in that same city. So that's truly what we think happened.
Wow. Well, yeah, it's nice to keep the credit card at the table. As you know, more restaurants in the U.S. are starting to do that kind of thing. They bring the little reader over. The problem with that then is they hover over you as you try to decide what kind of tip to give them, which is...
I know, it's the same problem, but at least you don't lose sight of it because there's no other industry where you need to do that. You don't give your credit card to whoever's scanning you at the grocery store, or if you're at a store buying a pair of pants, you always have your eyes on it.
Right. That is a really, really good one. Well, I doubt that's going to change, but there are some people that may pick restaurants if they feel worried about fraud. They may pick it based on how they wind up paying for the transaction. Or I guess, as you suggest to me, you can have a place where you take it to the register, right? Like the old days.
Exactly. Like you go up to the register yourself, or they bring a reader to you. I just don't want to hand it to someone I don't know.
Excellent one. Danny, thanks for sharing your gripe.
Thanks, Herb.
Final thought before we go. Research shows that most unhappy customers never complain. According to Lori Morrow, Vice President of Research Strategy at Market Connections, 96% of customers will not complain. 91% will simply never return. If you have a problem, if you're not getting the service you deserve, let somebody know about it. They can't fix the problem unless they know about it. And that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's do it again. If you have a gripe you'd like to share about something in the marketplace that bugs you, let us know. Just look for the Got a Gripe link in the show notes. It'll take you to a form that you can fill out. We can't solve individual problems, but we may ask you to join us on a future episode. Now, if you haven't already, I hope you'll subscribe to us on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Remember, we release new episodes every other Thursday. Another way you can support this show is to follow us on Consumerpedia on Facebook and Instagram, and at MyConsumerpedia on Twitter. I'm Herb Weisbaum. Thanks for listening.
Consumerpedia is a public service of checkbook.org. We're a unique nonprofit that helps you save money and make smarter choices. You can count on Checkbook to help you find the best services and avoid the worst, with local ratings that are accurate and unbiased. If you live in or around these 7 cities and haven't joined Checkbook yet, check us out. Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, Seattle, San Francisco, Minneapolis-St. Paul, and Washington, D.C. To get your free 30-day subscription, go to checkbook.org/consumerpedia. If you like what you've heard, we hope you'll become a supporter by using the link at the bottom of the show notes to make a small contribution each month. Consumerpedia, empowering consumers to save money and make smarter choices.